The following story, which is said to be particularly beneficial for the blind and the lepers, stars an old woman whose devotion to the sun inadvertently helps out both herself and her king. An old woman was engaged in the Sunday vow, as a result of which she became prosperous. Her neighbor lady became envious of this success and saying to herself that the old woman's prosperity was due to using her cow dung, the neighbor lady kept her cow tied in the house so that the old woman would get no dung. Next Sunday, when the old woman could collect no dung, she became downcast at this impediment to her worship. Because she could not plaster her floors with a fresh coating of cow dung, she couldn't offer anything to the sun, and so she could eat nothing all day long. That night she resignedly went to bed, tortured by hunger and thirst, and sick with worry. In a dream she saw Lord Sun asking the cause of her misery. On hearing of the interruption to her vow, the sun's compassion began to flow, and he promised to gift her a cow for that purpose. Lord Sun told her that he was very happy at how assiduously she was observing the vow, and promised her that her lineage would always be full of wealth and descendants. Then the sun disappeared. Next morning, when the old woman arose and saw a cow with a calf standing calmly in her courtyard, she recalled that vivid dream for the sun. She then quickly tethered the cow outside the house and arranged for all her needs. When the envious neighbor saw the cow outside of the old woman's house, her amazement knew no bounds, and she was struck dumb when she saw the cow lift her tail and release gold from her bowels instead of cow dung. The neighbor lady then so stealthily exchanged that gold dung for some of her own cow's natural dung that the old woman didn't come to know about it. After a few days of this, the sun asked himself, "What is this? How can it be that my cow is not solving this old woman's problems?" After he had understood the situation, he used his delusive powers to create a terrible windstorm, so strong that the ancient trees toppled to the ground. Seeing this vision of destruction, the old woman took her cow into the house and tied her there, and next morning the cow presented her new owner with some golden dung. Overjoyed, the old woman began to keep the cow inside all the time to protect her. Now the old woman's alertness allowed the neighbor woman no opportunity to steal the gold dung. That neighbor's greed impelled her to try to obtain the cow by stratagem. She went to the king and made this submission. "Great king, my old neighbor has a gold-sheeting cow. If your majesty were to take it for himself, it would mean a gain for all of the people in our country." Caught up in this projection of greed, the king ordered his soldiers to bring him the cow. When they did, the cow was handed over to the cowherds, who were told not to remove any of her dung. That night, the king couldn't sleep for satisfaction. But next morning, when he went to the cowshed, he saw nothing other than the normal cow dung. The king's fire of rage now flared up, and he had the old woman arrested and brought to him. He asked her, "Doesn't your cow give golden dung?" "Then that is why I had her brought to me. Then why it is not happening?" When the old woman recounted the whole story to the king, he was satisfied and said, "Forgive me, old mother. I stole the cow out of ignorance. Your neighbor is the guilty party, and she will be punished." The king then ordered the whole city to perform the Sunday vow, as a result of which he conquered his enemies in all directions, extending his kingdom thereby.